Many people have asked, what happened to Aquarius? Did the insurance company pay? And the short answer is yes. But we learned so much during the process dealing with the insurance company, and that's what this video is about. So, if you want to know what happened with our insurance on Aquarius, stay tuned. Cue the intro. It was a dark time for Aquarius. We were dismasted in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and we motored for 10 days to get to Martinique. During that time, we picked up fuel from 2 boats, Piran and One Planet. Our insurance company was so happy to find out that we actually asked Piran not to divert because they were going to get there in the middle of the night. But in the end, we were glad that they did divert because we did get 30 liters of fuel from them, and we only landed with 15 liters of fuel. So we might have run out about an hour out of Martinique if we didn't get that extra fuel. But One Planet gave us 260 liters of fuel, and they would not take any payment from us in the end. And so if you're looking for a charter, please look at One Planet, and the link is below. Today's sponsor is Surfshark, and that's your insurance on your online protection. If you're at the airport, or you're at your favorite coffee shop. If you're like me, there's news and sports that I like to listen to. And in some cases, these are censored in various countries. And this is becoming more and more prevalent. Even YouTube is censored in certain countries. And if you didn't know it, in many cases there are discounts based on where you're located. So you can find discounts on airfares, hotels, or rental cars by just changing the country that you're currently located in. And that is easy using Surfshark, and it takes less than 30 seconds. Today, you can connect your household and protect your family from online thieves and malware using unlimited devices and 24-hour customer service. And if you're not completely satisfied, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So get an extra 4 months by just using the code Aquarius. The link's below and up here, so use that code Aquarius and you will get 4 months extra. That's 4 extra months just by using the code Aquarius when you sign up for Surfshark. And don't forget, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks. Back to the show. The biggest takeaway I have about boat insurance is find a good broker. There's probably many good brokers, but find one. I use Gal. His information is below, and I recommend Gal 100%. And I think he's the best. So if you're looking for insurance to circumnavigate, cruising in the Med, or cruising in the Caribbean, or crossing the Pacific, Gal can help you out. And watch this video, because in this video I'm going to tell you what information you should send to Gal before trying to find out more about insurance. You can send this information to him, and then you can get a quick answer on whether you can get insurance for your vessel through Gal. Now, here are a few things that Gal did for me to make the insurance process go smoother and quicker. 1. I talked to Gal about 8 days before I got to Martinique. So he had already set up the one major thing that has to happen first, and that is the insurance company has to hire a surveyor to take a look at your boat. nothing's going to happen until the surveyor comes aboard, takes a look at your vessel, and then things will start to slowly happen. So the insurance company hired somebody before I even got to Martinique, and then 1 hour after I arrived, he was on the boat, and 2 days after he was on the boat, we were taking the masts off Aquarius to get it ready to fix up. One of the other things he told me is, don't jump to conclusions. You're not a surveyor, and you shouldn't be jumping to conclusions telling the surveyor or somebody else what happened or may have happened. Wait till the surveyor takes a look at your yacht and then tell him what happened. If he asks you questions, answer them honestly, but don't jump to conclusions. Don't try to second guess what the surveyor's looking for. They know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for. It's not their first rodeo. And our insurance company hired a very good surveyor in Martinique, and we were very happy with what he looked for and made sure that no more problems happened to Aquarius after the accident. So one of the other things you have to know about insurance is they don't do everything for you. You're the one that has to get the quotes. You're the one that has to find the people to do the work. The surveyor will only give the insurance company approximate prices on what he thinks it's going to cost, but it's up to you to find out what it's really going to cost and get those quotes over to the insurance company, where the insurance company will not do anything until they get all this information in a folder, and then you will start to get paid. I had to pay for the removal of the masts. I had to pay for the boat to get my masts off of it. I had to pay for everything basically up front, and then the insurance company would pay as the bills got bigger and bigger. But I think I paid probably $85,000 before the insurance company pitched in about 65,000 euros. So, you're going to have to work through these issues probably yourself, and then the insurance company will come in and pay for what they think that they owe. Like I said before, 2 days after I arrived, I spent 2,300 euros to get the masts taken off the boat and stored so that I could get the boat ready to get quotes and move on. So the next step was getting all the quotes. And this was tough. In Martinique, it seemed like I couldn't move fast. I couldn't get quotes fast. It was taking me 5 days to get a quote for the mast, and I didn't even get a quote for the mast. So basically, at that point, I had found out that there was a set of masts on a boat down in Trinidad, and I know Trinidad, so I asked the surveyor if I could take my boat down to Trinidad using just the motor, and he said, I can't give you permission to do anything. And I asked him, do you think it would be a good idea if I can get these masts for X price? Do you think that it would be a good idea? And he said, definitely, I think it's a good idea, but I can't give you permission to do anything. So the next day, checked out of Martinique, and I started heading down, and I tried to buddy boat with boats every time I had to do a crossing between the islands, but there was a few times where I didn't have anybody. But the long crossing from Grenada to Trinidad, I did have a buddy boat the entire way, and they were within a mile of me because it's an overnight sail, and I didn't want to be out there all by myself with just my engine. I wanted to make sure that there would be somebody there to pull me in just in case. The other reason why I decided to go down to Trinidad was because I got a quote from Selden for the 2 mast sets, and they were 120,000 euros. So I decided that that wasn't going to happen. If I had to put 120,000 euros just into the masts, well, then all the other rigging and running rigging and sails, because the sails would have to be replaced if I replaced the poles. It would just be too expensive, and they would have just said Aquarius needs to go, and they would have bought Aquarius and just probably pieced it out, and I would have ended up with probably 180,000 euros or 190,000 euros, and that would have been it. I wouldn't have a boat anymore. Once I got down to Trinidad, I was actually able to buy the other boat. I bought the boat for about $50,000, and I took the masts and I put them on Aquarius, and I bought new rigging, which was about 16,000 euros, and I got the sails fixed for about 6,000 euros, and all the fiberglass work was around 6,000 euros. So it all adds up. You know, a lot of the running rigging had to be replaced because all of the lines that I used to tie things down, they all got chafed, and so they all had to be thrown out. A lot of the halyards got cut. So we had to replace a lot of the running rigging, all the standing rigging, and the poles. But the nice thing about replacing the poles was the boat that we bought had only sailed from Singapore to Trinidad, around the bottom of Africa, and that was all those masts had ever seen, because the masts were replaced in Singapore. It was dismasted in Bali, towed to Singapore, and then they replaced the masts in Singapore. And then he sailed across the Indian Ocean, down south of Africa, up to Trinidad, and then the boat was sitting on the hard for about 14 years. So in the end, the insurance company paid me about 115,000 euros. That just about covered what they should have paid for. We had $5,000 deductible for this and a couple $1,000 deductible for some of the other things. So the 115,000 euros that they paid approximately, that was what they should have paid. And I was very happy with what happened. But it did take a little longer than I had thought. Gal thought that it took a little bit longer. But in the end, I was very happy with our insurance. I was very happy with Gal. Everything was taken care of. They did a great job hiring the surveyor quickly and getting Aquarius back up and going. I had to work probably 2 months straight, nonstop, to get that boat ready to go, because we wanted to make our circumnavigation party up in U.S. Virgin Islands, and we had to sail her from Trinidad up north, and we made it. And I tell you what, it took just about everything, pushing all the guys, trying to get everything done down in Trinidad, and also me working full-time on the boat 10 hours a day for 2 months to get it all ready to go and get that boat up in good condition up into our party at U.S. Virgin Islands. So now let's talk a little bit about insurance. One thing, never lie to your insurance broker, because if your insurance company finds out that you've lied on one of the forms or anything, you don't have insurance. If they find out about it after you make a claim, you just lose everything. So never lie to your insurance broker. So there's 4 things you should have before you call your insurance broker. 1, your passport. Get a copy of your passport ready to send. Registration and flag. 3, a current yacht survey. 4, you want to have a logbook or a nautical CV. Logbook of your experience sailing, everything going back to when you were a kid. Basically showing how much experience you have sailing vessels. And make sure you put the type of vessel and etc. in there so that they know what type of boats that you've sailed, what you were doing on that boat, if you were racing, What position were you? How many hours were you on board? If you lived on a boat, how long? How big is the boat? Is it a sailboat, motorboat? Put all those things in there so that your broker knows how much experience you've got, and make sure you don't lie on these, because if the insurance company finds out you've lied on any forms that go to them, you're not going to be insured. A couple of the things that are very important about the flag and who you are, what citizenship you have, is very important for the insurance. There are some insurance companies that only serve residents of certain countries. So if you're Israeli, there's insurance companies that only serve Israelis. There's companies that will only serve people from Europe. There's a lot of insurance companies that will not serve Americans in American waters or in the Caribbean. I'm not sure why that is, but that's just one of the facts. The flag is very important, and Aquarius is registered in the United States. We're registered through the U.S. Coast Guard, and I think it's best if you just pay the $125 and you register your boat for 5 years. That way, if you're traveling around the world, you don't have to come back very often and get your boat registered again. You won't have to worry about that. There's a lot of insurance companies that will not register U.S. owners, U.S. boats in U.S. waters. Decide on where you're going to register your boat by talking to your broker. Make sure you have a good surveyor survey your boat, because if you don't, that puts more pressure on you to make sure that you have everything right. The survey that you get from a very good surveyor is there to protect you and the insurance company, because you don't want to be the one that decides your boat is fitted properly with all the bells and whistles that you need, because that puts more responsibility on you. Usually the insurance company will not let you do a survey on your boat or just say, hey, my boat's perfect. So get a good surveyor to survey your boat and make sure that that's available to the insurance companies. Sometimes the insurance companies will let you use a survey that's a couple years old, but most of the time they would like a recent survey within the last year. One of the last things you need to do for the insurance company is tell exactly where your boat's going to be during the year that you're insured with that particular insurance company. So you're going to tell them, we're going to go to this country, this country, this country, then we're going to cross the Atlantic, and then we're going to go to this country, this country, this country. Sometimes they'll say, okay, everything looks good. Sometimes they'll come back and tell you, nah, we don't think that you can go to this country or this country unless you pay additional fees, because the place may be dangerous. And it's usually good to listen to your insurance company, because they know what the risks are, and they're the ones that's going to insure you. So it's good to listen to them. If you really have to go to that country, then pay the bill and go to that particular country. Hurricane seasons. Hurricane seasons are well known to insurance companies, and what we do is we just stay out of those zones. The insurance companies usually give you a box to stay in or to stay out of. And so they'll say, this is your box, and you will not be in that zone during hurricane season. And that's what they do in the Caribbean. They say, do not stay in north of Grenada or probably south of the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina. So that zone is off limits during hurricane season. And if you're in there, you still have insurance, but you are not insured for any named storm. So if you get hit with a named storm, then you're out of luck. Some people pay extra to stay in the zone, but I wouldn't do that because of one fact. If a storm does hit, it just causes too much damage and it's very difficult to get your boat fixed at that point. So I would just say stay out of the zone or stay close enough to the zone edges so that you can be out of the zone if you see something coming. Also in that document, you need to say whether the boat's going to be in a marina, if it's going to be on anchor, if you're going to be on the boat or off the boat, how long it's going to sit in a marina empty, how long you're going to be on the boat. So all of that should be in that document that you send over to your broker. There's some other things you need to look at when you're getting insurance, whether you're going to go with declared value or appraised value. You should look that up and figure out what you're going to do. Medical coverage, third-party liability. Sometimes we've gone into a marina and they wanted $3 million worth of third-party liability. And most of the time, the insurance companies only give you maybe $1 million worth of third-party liability. So you really have to watch that. You have to look at the marinas that you're going to be going into and seeing what they require for you to come in. And you're going to have to maybe go back to your insurance company and get a rider put on there that increases your third-party liability if you go into one of these marinas that request more than the $1 million that you usually get with your coverage. Now, dinghy and personal effects on your boat, I probably wouldn't do very many personal effects. That just increases your insurance. But dinghy, you really want dinghy coverage, but remember, if it's not locked up and it gets stolen, they don't cover you. It's gotta be a lock that is broken somehow or cut, and you have to be able to show that you've locked it up and they cut the lock, and you will get covered. But you're usually not covered if it's not locked. One of the places that we went when we were traveling around the world was the Indian Ocean and coming up the Red Sea. Now, if we would have been attacked by pirates or something would have happened like an act of war and we got destroyed somehow, that's not covered by insurance. So you're pretty much out of luck. And remember, there are places in this world that it's very tough to find surveyors, very tough to get work done on your boat, and the Indian Ocean is a good example of that. So if you're in the Indian Ocean and something happens, it's very difficult to get service on your boat. And that's why rates are so high when you're crossing the Indian Ocean. Just keep that in mind, because if anything happens, it's going to be very difficult to get the surveyor there to take care of it. If you're in Djibouti or you're in Yemen or places like that, it's just difficult. And that's why insurance is so expensive in those areas. Remember, it's up to you to do risk management on your boat and your cruising. Make sure that you do everything right, or as right as you can do it, so that you're as safe as you possibly can be. Because if there's gross negligence or you don't maintain your boat, I'll tell you what, the insurance companies may not pay. So make sure you take care of your boat properly and make sure you make good decisions on your sails. If you get hit with like high winds or something like that and you got all your sails out, you lose a sail or two, you know, usually that's going to be covered by you and not your insurance company. So with that, I'm just going to leave you with one thing. Make sure you pick the right broker for your insurance, and I think that broker is Gal.
If you like this video, give us a like down below and click here to subscribe. That really helps us. And if you want to watch more of us, click one of those.
They said they came from Spanish